We're learning more about the shooter responsible for Charlie Kirk's death. And well, folks, his family, well, they were all MAGA, according to his grandmother. According to Tyler Robinson's grandmother in the Daily Beast, the entire family was MAGA. We knew that his parents and his family members, some of them were registered Republicans. We see from Facebook images that they grew up with guns in the home and around the home. And we're learning more about the shooter and his family. And for days, Donald Trump and the right wing were telling us that it was the radical left that was responsible for this. They were pointing fingers at Democrats. Some were even calling Democratic politicians, saying that we're at war, saying that the Democratic Party should be labeled a domestic terrorist group. And the rhetoric was out of control. But we're now learning the facts. And the facts are, well, maybe wasn't part of the left. And in fact, we don't even know the full motive of the shooter just yet. But here's what we do know. We know that investigators found bullet casings from the Utah Valley University shooter's weapon, engraved with the phrases and symbols including "Hey Fascist, Catch," paired with an arrow sequence that matches a bomb strike command in the video game Hell Drivers 2, and "Oh Bella Ciao," which is also referenced in the game. The Verge reports these links. Law enforcement has not yet confirmed the connection. The inscriptions on the bullet casings, according to The Verge, came from a video game, not from some type of transgender or anti-fascist ideologies like the Wall Street Journal first reported. Meanwhile, Tyler Robinson, who is the suspect in Charlie Kirk's killing, grew up in a family home about 260 miles from the crime scene, where neighbors described the area as safe and expressed surprise at the news. While one neighbor noted that while he appreciated some of Kirk's views as a Mormon, he emphasized respect for differing opinions and the importance of open dialogue without violence. There's been significant misinformation regarding the Kirk shooting and who was responsible, or rather, the motivations behind the person responsible. And we're now slowly realizing that, hey, what the president of the United States and these right-wingers were saying for a long time may not be actually true. And today, over the past 24 hours, when asked about coping with the loss of Charlie Kirk, Trump says, quote, he was very good and quickly shifted to touting the start of construction on a long sought-after new White House ballroom, calling it a magnificent structure that had been planned for 150 years. And Republican Representative Thomas Massie urged Donald Trump and others to tone down their rhetoric following the assassination of Kirk, noting that Trump himself has used, quote, ridiculous language that some may take literally. The comments come amid an escalating feud between Trump and Massie. So, folks, as we get more information about this, I will obviously let you know. Before I continue, please consider subscribing to support my work or sending a one-time donation via Venmo to Aaron-Parnas. Now, meanwhile, something that not many people were talking about is the Colorado school shooting at Evergreen High School earlier this week, the same day as the assassination of Kirk. And we're now learning that Desmond Hawley, a 16-year-old responsible for the shooting who ended his own life, well, he had engaged with Columbine-related anti-Semitic and white supremacist content online, sharing photographs of a revolver shortly before the attack. He shot and critically wounded 2 classmates on September 10, 2015, before fatally shooting himself. Investigators now say that he was radicalized through extremist networks, and his social media showed interest in past mass shootings and tactical gear. Now, to put that into perspective, Columbine is literally down the street from Evergreen High School. The community still has not gotten over the Columbine horrific shooting that happened about 2 decades ago, and he wanted to repeat that. Thankfully, he wasn't able to. Meanwhile, Epstein-related news. Thomas Massie's bipartisan discharge petition to force the release of new Jeffrey Epstein files is now just 1 signature shy of the 218 needed. Newly elected Democrat James Walkinshaw became the 217th signer. Massie and Representative Ro Khanna expect to clinch the final signature later this month, despite White House pressure, as House Republican leaders concede that a floor vote is likely. While in the Senate, Chuck Schumer's parallel push to mandate disclosure was blocked by Republicans who dismissed it as a political stunt. NATO announced an expanded Eastern Sentry mission to defend Poland from Russian drone incursions, with France, Germany, and Denmark committing fighter jets and naval assets and the UK expected to add typhoons. The move follows a large Russian drone incursion into Poland that forced airport closures. ICE officers today fatally shot Silverio Villegas Gonzalez, an undocumented immigrant, during a traffic stop near Chicago after he allegedly tried to ram and drag an officer with his car. DHS says that the officer, who was seriously injured but is stable, acted in self-defense, while the incident sparked heightened tensions as protests against ICE operations unfolded the same day. Missouri Republicans approved a new congressional map that dismantles Democratic Representative Emanuel Cleaver's district in Kansas City and creates an additional Republican-leaning seat, giving the party 7 of Missouri's 8 seats. This is part of Donald Trump's push to completely gerrymander Missouri as part of this overall mid-decade redistricting push. We saw it in Texas. We're seeing it in Missouri. We're seeing it in California. We're going to see it in New York, Indiana, Florida, and potentially elsewhere. UC Berkeley disclosed the names of 160 faculty, staff, and students, including prominent scholar Judith Butler, to the Trump administration as part of federal investigations into alleged anti-Semitic incidents, a move Butler condemned as a, quote, McCarthy-era tactic that threatens academic freedom and due process. The FDA, under RFK Jr., plans to present data at next week's CDC vaccine advisory meeting that it claims links COVID shots to 25 children deaths based on a new VAERS report, though experts stress that the database cannot prove causation, and prior studies show that vaccines are safe and protective. Harvard University says that it has begun receiving notices that federal research grants frozen by the Trump administration will soon be reinstated after a judge ruled the $2.6 billion in cuts unconstitutional. And finally, the EPA under the Trump administration announced plans to end the greenhouse gas reporting program, which since 2010 has required thousands of major polluters like coal plants, refineries, and steel mills to report emissions data. Officials are arguing that it cuts red tape and saves $2.4 billion in compliance costs, but critics are warning that the move cripples the government's ability to track and curb climate change. Folks, that's all the news right now. It was a busy news day. It's going to be a busy news week, but here's the deal. There is so much misinformation, so much disinformation being spread on the internet, whether it's about the shooting of Charlie Kirk, the shooting at the Colorado high school, or anything in between. And right now, parsing through that information is critical. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm going to continue to do. All gas, no breaks, all weekend, because it's important that you get the truth, especially in a time where all of this misinformation and disinformation is flowing so quickly. So as always, if you want to support my work, make sure to subscribe today, and I will see you bright and early, first thing in the morning. Hey folks, Aaron Parnas here. Thank you so much for watching The Parnas Perspective. Please consider subscribing to support our work as we grow this independent news media entity into something that rivals mainstream every single day. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon.